Let's out of state team leading, or I would say this could also apply to if your team's coming from Duluth. It can, you're going to have to start using different tools to train these teams up. Beth Post is actually our coach for out-of-state teams, so I'm filling in for Beth. It's just important to know that we have a GoToMeeting. So how many in this room have used our GoToMeeting to train up their teams? Okay. Who has updated their computer so that they can use GoToMeeting? It's a really great tool. If you have a camera on your computer and they have a camera, you can do a little FaceTime there a little bit, but it works really well. Coaches are trained on how to use it. They will, as you need it, provide you with the username and password. The key with managed missions, I have it on the brain. Thanks, Dave. GoToMeeting is do not put a shortcut on your desktop. You must log in every time. What this prevents is if Steve is on a GoToMeeting and I've got a trouble goer and they're like, oh, I can't find the application process. I go, oh, let's do a GoToMeeting. If I log in, it's going to tell me he's on it. If I use a shortcut, it's going to let me in and it's going to bump him right off. So make sure you always go to the actual website. Okay? What else is unique about our out-of-state teams? I think this gets into the flights. You are going to have people coming from different areas as well as yourself. Just try to get your flights as close as possible. If there is a longer time, just as people have mentioned, contact Elisa, and I would use the guest house email that's on your leader checklist, and let her know that you've got people coming in at different times, and she'll direct you. Have them wait, or no problem. We'll have the guys pick up the first group, and then we'll go back later. I think you can also use the guest house email, and we will be providing you a phone number. If what happens, somebody misses a flight, somebody's flight gets delayed, we are setting up our team on the ground to Mondays. They need to be checking their emails and their phones. Okay? So with that shorter window in Miami, you may have half of your team make the flight and the other half doesn't, and depending where your leaders are coming from, actually, your leaders could not arrive until the next day, and then you have your whole team there a day ahead of time. But it's all fine. We're prepared for different things like that. So this is a growing area, like I said. So as leaders take teams out from these out-of-state teams, we're going to look for your feedback. What worked, what didn't work, what can we do better? What else was I going to say? Out-of-state teams, I know in the past we had mailed our trip journals. We're not going to do that anymore simply because of the weight. We're going to try to keep trip journals in stock at the guest house. So it's going to make a little bit different look in that you're going to have to maybe think of something else to go through that preparing your heart and mind aspect of your trip that is part of the journal. Go ahead.
We're preparing to go with out of state. I'm going next month, and I emailed the first part of the book. So
You can email the first.
Do you have that as a PDF that you could share?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can put it on leadinghaiti.org. Dave? That's my favorite, Dave. Dave, can you take care of that, please? This is another key thing. Who here has had trouble building a team? Anyone? Anyone at all? Besides me? Come on, be honest. Okay? These are full. They're usually full. They tell us, I want to go this week, and because that's what's open. There's no leader at that time. So you've seen me posting on the leader Facebook page. You got a full team. Okay, so I will say it's a good chance to stretch your leadership muscle and takes you out of your comfort zone, because these out-of-state teams are tenacious. They're a little uncomfortable because you're far away, so they're going to ask lots of questions. So the more animated you can be, the better. But it's a great opportunity, and I will probably always lead at least one a year. I just love them, so it's really fun. So any questions on out of state? Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the 5 rules of leadership, and we have Dale Peterson, my husband, who's going to talk a little bit about that and take us through some opportunity or some learning there.
As we're passing this out, I'll start with just saying, first of all, a little bit about myself. I'm Dale Peterson. I'm on the executive team at Eagle Grove Church. I've been a pastor there for over 14 years now. And I've done just about everything you can do there, but currently my responsibilities are global impact, local impact, the Eagle Brook Association, leadership development, and then the expansion, purchasing land and building new buildings for Eagle Brook Church. So that's kind of what I do at Eagle Brook. And I'm married to Amy, and then she keeps the rest of my life busy. But I just want to say your leadership matters. And I'll really say, as your leadership goes, so goes the team. There's nothing that will influence the success of your trip more than you. So your leadership matters tremendously. And my grandpa was a carpenter. And like leadership, he had 1,000 tools, and you can find 1,000 resources for leadership development. Some of it's skill training, some of it's theory, some of it is really helpful, some of it's not so helpful, some of it's actually quite confusing. But Grandpa had tools everywhere. He had them in his trunk, he had them in his basement, he had them in his garage. But the thing I noticed about Grandpa is he had this little canvas apron, a nail apron, and on that nail apron, he always had the most critical tools that a carpenter would ever need. And when he was just doing his job, he was just reaching into that thing, and he just knew where his hammer was, or where his tape measure was, where his pencil was, where some nails were. And I just want to say, I think there's some tools that a leader needs to have on their tool belt all the time. Before I tell you what they are, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. What is IQ? Okay? You guys are going to really have to. What is EQ then? What is LQ? Say it louder.
Leadership.
Yeah, it's your leadership quote. I just made that up. It's pretty cool. But this is the art of leading. You can learn some skills, but what I would ask you to do is to learn those nuances and to be aware of what's going on around you so you know what tool to pull out of your tool belt to actually do what you need to do so the trip goes well. Because as your leadership goes, so goes the trip. Okay? So, I gave you a little handout here, and we're just going to do this. 5 tools of leadership, all right? And I think the very first tool that you have to have, and you'll notice it about all leaders, is they always have something to teach. Leaders are teaching all the time. You go to lunch with them, they're writing on a napkin. You get in a classroom with them, they're on a whiteboard. They're always teaching. They tend to be futuristic. They're looking to the future. There's something better out there that burns within them, and they want to bring people with them. That's what leaders do. I'm just going to caution you, though, be wise. And wisdom, I think you need to get some wisdom as we lead, because you need to be careful to teach the things that Healing Haiti needs you to teach. So, three levels of wisdom that I think you should really pay attention to. Godly wisdom. You know, if you knew God's heart, really knew God's heart, then I think you would teach according to God's heart. Right? And where do you find out God's heart? In the Word? What else can you do to discover God's heart? Can you talk to Him? Right. Yeah, right. What does He give every believer? Wisdom.
Holy Spirit.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit, who helps give you wisdom. And then finally, I think He gives us other believers, and make sure they're wise believers, because not every believer is wise. But surround yourself with wise people, and you will start to understand God's heart. And when you know God's heart, what you teach your team, at least you'll do it according to God's heart. But there's also this thing called healing Haiti. And I think the leaders here in this room, you need to know the heart of healing Haiti as an organization. And I would say you need to know Jeff Gasick's heart. You need to know the board's heart, because there is a heartbeat to this organization, and you want to teach things that are consistent with this. And then you also need to know your own heart. You need to do some reflection, because whether you know it or not, part of you is flawed. And you're going to bring that sinful dark side into your leadership. So be aware of what you struggle with and how it might conflict with God's heart and healing Haiti's heart. But leaders are always teaching. Just notice that. So what are you going to teach your team? Okay? The other tool that I think you need to have all the time is that leaders are always trying to encourage. Whoops. So you got teaching, and then they encourage. I think leaders, they literally manage the energy of the group. And when your LQ is really working well, you can tell when a member of the group is lacking energy. Whether it's physically, spiritually, emotionally, but then leaders know how to become cheerleaders. They know how to step in, and they know just in the right way, and it needs to be authentic, by the way. They know how to bring energy back into that person or into that team. And sometimes that's way more important than having a page. Way more important. And I would say, Bill Hybel says, energy is the most important thing a leader brings to the table. So are you managing the energy? And when's the last time, instead of teaching somebody what they're doing wrong all the time, sometimes they just need to be patted on the back. So that's a great tool for you to have. I try to walk around Eaglebrook all the time and just find people that need to be encouraged. And I actually get paid to do that. It's kind of fun. The next tool is guide. I think leaders guide. And when I think of this, I literally think of wisdom. I think of experience. I think of your knowledge. You're in this room because you've been down to Haiti several times. You know the airport. And your heart, as you're talking, is you want to guide them. There's something in you that wants to help these people figure things out. But I would also say, ask questions. One of the best way to guide people is to ask questions rather than give instruction. Because leaders, they can't help themselves but to develop other people. And asking questions and making sure that you're providing guidance in a way that actually develops that person, you really want them to be the next leader someday. So guidance, wisdom, pass that on. That's a great tool for every leader to have. The next tool is truth. And reality is your friend. Even if it's bad reality. So I think leaders just have this knack of loving truth. Good, bad, or ugly, I need to hear the truth about myself and not be afraid of that. And I need to be able to tell the truth, good, bad, or ugly, even though it might be difficult. But you got to do it in a way that you don't destroy the person. So I think leaders, real leaders, they tend to multiply the intelligence of the group rather than diminish it. And you can shut down a group by the way that you tell the truth. Or you can cause the creative energy just to flow by the way you confront the truth. But just some great books. Say it out loud to me.
Liz Wesman?
Yeah, that's it. And then the other one was Joseph Granny. He talked about crucial conversations. And it is a myth. We have this myth. If I go tell a friend the truth, they won't like me anymore. And that's a myth. If you really do it the right way and you want them to succeed, you can, in a loving way, tell the truth. But reality is your friend. And especially Christians who live in Minnesota do not like this tool. Right? I went to Norway one time, and we were getting to the south part of the country, and my host, Roy Elling, he looked at me and said, Dale, you're coming into a part of Norway where if you make a friend in this part of the country, you will have a friend for the rest of your life. If you make an enemy, you'll never know it. And I just would kind of hold up a mirror. That's Minnesota, too. We can make enemies, and people never even know that we don't like them anymore. But this is the hardest one, but it's the most important one. And then finally, accountability. Let me tell you what this is not. Accountability is not catching people making mistakes and then confronting them. Accountability is more, it's this attitude of, I will go on a journey with you. I am committed to give you time and energy and leadership over time so that you get better. I will be your mentor, I will be your coach, and then this is the beautiful part about this. People who know how to use accountability, they just kind of say, and on this journey, I will teach you, I will encourage you, I'll guide you, and I'll tell you the truth. But the key is, over time, I will go on this journey with you. So you're going to go on a journey with people when you go to Haiti. Give them accountability. Teach them. Encourage them. Guide them. Tell them the truth. But do it in love, because as you lead, so goes the trip. All right? And then this just is critical. I call this, don't come in here and pet our cat backwards. You ever do that? Pet a cat the wrong way? It's very irritating to the cat. So for the leaders of Healing Haiti, the better that you can articulate the heart of the organization, the better it is the easier it is that leaders can come along and not pet the cat backwards. But that's probably part of your frustration as leaders get on a trip and they start doing things and they're just patting your cat backwards, and it bugs you. So get this down, be aware of this, and I think you guys will have some great tools to use as leaders.
Okay, like Amy said, I'm the lead donations advocate. I have 3 people that are on my team that help out. They're Lisa Hanson-Jones, Kara Herman, and Mike Herman. They are married. And then we're trying to maybe add one more to the team. Okay, and I just arrow. Okay. So I just wanted to, some of this might be things that you already know. I just wanted to review the process. I actually create the top 10 list. I have a giant list of all the different types of donations that they need based on observations and what I'm told by the missionaries. And if you ever have feedback of things that you think are needed that are not going, I'm also happy to include that as well. So I create a top 10 list for the team. I send it to the team. The team collects the donations, and I assign a donations advocate. And the advocate closer to your trip will introduce themselves and request an inventory. So when your team lets you know what they have, they can allocate those donations for you to the different care ministry areas that we support. And then when you pack, you can pack them accordingly. And then once you're in Haiti, you'll distribute the donations. And if some teams, I know that's not their focus. They don't want to bring donations. I know there's a women's conference coming up. That's not what they're going to be doing, and that's fine. I mean, if you have something that you, let me know. Just let me know, and I won't assign a list. I mean, that's fine if that's not your focus. But for most teams, it's an opportunity to share with others what they're doing, and it's an opportunity to gain support from others through those donations. So what's okay to bring? So we would like to keep the things that you're bringing to stay the items that are on the top 10 list. So those are things that we know that they need. We're not just sending things that we think that they need. We know that they need those. If you want to hand out care packages at General Hospital and your team likes to have something to do and you want to put these care packages together, you can always add those. And the staples, the soap, the toothpaste, the deodorant, those things. We sent a letter and it's posted on Facebook, and it has a list of all of these types of things. And then financial donations. If you want to raise funds to support a larger thing in Haiti, that's always encouraged, and that can be brought as well. And anything else that you want to bring, somebody has, I get emails all the time with all sorts of unique things. And maybe it is something we can use and maybe not, but you would need to get approval to know that if that's going to be something that they can use. Clothing, we would ask that you don't bring clothing unless it's on your list. And if it is on your list, we want it to be new. We don't want to send our raggy, stained clothes to them. I know that there's always this, well, it's better than nothing. But, you know, we want to give them dignity, and we want to send them things that we would wear. And that it's modest, that it's appropriate to their culture. They don't wear strapless clothes and, you know, things that are revealing. That's not appropriate. So we wouldn't want to send that there. Things that are weather appropriate. We don't need to send winter coats to Haiti. They don't wear them there. But you laugh, but those are the things that are in those containers. We found all kinds of crazy things in there. It's not on your top 10 list, please ask. Same with shoes. We like to send shoes that are substantial, not just shoes that will serve a purpose or do their thing. They're walking on rock and hard, long distances. They maybe have one pair of shoes that's going to last them, and as long as they can. So we want to send shoes that are sturdy and new or like new condition. Same thing, that will be on a top 10 list. We'll ask you to bring sandals or maybe school shoes or dress shoes or tennis shoes. School shoes and dress shoes, they have to wear black shoes to school. They don't have the proper shoes, they can't go to school. Girls can't wear open-toed shoes. So, I mean, there's reasons that we put these restrictions on it. It's not just we think that would be nice. That's what's required when they're there. And medical supplies. There's lots of people who work in organizations that have excess medical supplies, and that's great, but we want to make sure that it's something that can be used. If you have a box of unopened, brand new things, maybe they're catheters. Well, we don't know, do they even need those there? So we want to, if you have a box and somebody on your team works in the hospital and says, gosh, I got all these great medical donations, we need to know. We can't just say we have a miscellaneous box. We need to know everything that's in that box, and we need to check with the missionaries at the clinic and see if those are things that we can use, because we don't want them to be stuck with it and have to figure out what to do with it. And if it can't be used, they can donate it locally. There's, it's not on the top of my head, there's an organization locally that you can bring things to, and they'll distribute them to organizations like Healing Haiti that do need them. So let us know what you have before you bring it. Personal giving, Amy touched on that a little bit. It's Healing Haiti's policy not to give to individuals. And if there's something that's on someone's heart to give to them, there is a process that they could get prior approval, and we would determine if that was something that was appropriate. That includes Healing Haiti staff, the orphans, as well as individuals that you might meet while you're serving. It can jeopardize the relationships in Haiti, and it can take away from our mission focus. In some situations, if you're always giving people things when you go here and the next team comes, they're going to expect that, and that endangers the safety and it endangers the relationship. And same goes with staff members. They're fabulous, wonderful. We love all of them, and we love to give them things that we're so blessed to have. But if you do that, it just changes the relationship. It sets an expectation, and it takes away from the focus. And we want to be partners. We want them, we are brothers and sisters in Christ, and we want to keep that relationship and that focus. And they're all paid, and they're paid fairly. So that was intentional giving. Anything that you are bringing with your team needs to have a purpose. If you don't know what you're going to do with that, then don't bring it. And I would like to hold the team leaders accountable to, if you're packing something that shouldn't be going there, that you can say, no, we can't bring that. That's, you have that responsibility. I think I had listed a few crazy things in my email that I had sent out. There were Wii remote controls in the container. Why? That's not something that would even need to go there. And I don't know how it got in the box, but anyway, so we want to make sure that we're sending things that are needed and that can be used. They're not going to end up in the garbage. They're not something that's flimsy or going to be falling apart soon or torn or. So we appreciate all the donations, and we want to share these blessings that we have here. But we want to make sure that what we're giving is impactful, and that we're giving things that are needed, and not just things that we think are needed. What's its impact to the environment, the sustainability, the longevity. It's better to send fewer things of better quality than larger quantities of poor quality. And also, are these things that can be purchased in Haiti that would take away from the economy there? So just to kind of think about those things, and it's always a fine line, and how we're supporting Grace Village because that's where they're getting their things that we need, and we can share those blessings with other people, but we don't want to create a stuff problem. I know that all of you have been to Gertrude's, and they have closets and closets full of stuff, and I know that there's other organizations to bring things there, but are we contributing to that problem that they don't even know what to do with these things? So it's a fine line. We want to make sure that what we're bringing is useful.
And can I just piggyback on that? As leaders, it is your responsibility to make sure that leftover craft supplies, things that didn't get distributed that week. If someone can't use the craft supplies, check with you, Lisa, or the intern, you need to pack them back up and bring them home. Okay, you just don't have the storage down there for that as well.
Right. And this other thing was additional bags. So whenever I send you your list of your top 10 items, there's a sentence in there that says, please set aside 1 bag for long-term missionaries and 2 bags for additional Healing Haiti requests. And those requests might be the last minute needs that they need. So, Rachel might send an email and says, gosh, we are all out of infant Tylenol and we're all out of vitamins. So it might be a request like that we might ask you to get. Or we also have a lot of partners here in the cities that would like to send things down. Haitian Initiative, Real Hope for Haiti, they always email me, and does anybody have any free space? They'd like to send things down with us. There's this drive to get musical instruments for Grace Village. We need to get them down there. It doesn't do any good to have people collecting them if they can't get down there. And then all of the different miscellaneous things that people have collected and want to send down. So we would like to use that space if you could set that aside. And yes, we will request them 7 to 10 days in advance, so other donations can be brought if those bags aren't used.
The long-term missionaries.
The long-term missionaries, there was a schedule, but since There. It's kind of in limbo.
Come up, we'll,
yeah.
And it is not the leader's responsibility to pay for extra bags unless you want to. That's fine. We ask each leader to not fill a donations bag so that we can bring things for long-term missionaries or for Real Hope for Haiti or other organizations. If everybody has their checked luggage accounted for and someone brings you a bag, you can ask them to pay for it, but unless you want to, it is not your responsibility to pay for that bag.
All right, I was just gonna real quick go through the places that we send things. When we send them to Grace Village, they are used for the orphans, the school, and the elderly. We send things to Mother Teresa's Home for Sick and Dying Babies and the Sick and Dying Adults and the Wound Clinic. Gertrude's, we kind of eased up on sending things to Gertrude's, but we're trying to send them, we have some communication with their long-term missionary, and we're trying to send them things that we know they would need. And we'd like them to be delivered kind of in your hands, not a suitcase full, so they can see what you have and they have to do something with it. The other orphanages that we've supported with donations are Juno's, LaFear's, and Isaiah's, the schools, Elders and Redemptors, Real Hope for Haiti, Haitian Initiative, and then care packages. If you are making care packages and you want to hand those out, General Hospital, and Elisa will guide you on that as well when you're there. Tent cities, if teams are going to tent cities. Not now, okay. And then the Grace Village Church Ministries, you can prepare these care packages, but Pastor Wesley and his team will use them for prison care, community outreach, hospital ministry, and church members. And then if you also had an abundance, we could take them to the sisters at Mother Teresa's and they could hand them out to the moms that are coming. But it would be for them to deliver, not for us.